Have you ever been the responsible one, the one who always does the right thing, only to be taken for granted by your own family? After working 60-hour weeks for years to afford my downtown Chicago apartment, they expected me to sell it. Growing up in suburban Illinois, my childhood memories are filled with moments of being the overlooked older sister. Family photos told the story clearly. Brittany was always front and center, with mom and dad beaming proudly. I stood slightly off to the side, often half out of the frame. They just made it abundantly clear who the favorite was. When Brittany broke my science project the night before it was due, I was told I had to understand that she's just curious. When she borrowed my clothes without asking and returned them stained, I was told I needed to be more generous. The pattern was established early on. Brittany acted however she pleased, and I was expected to accommodate her. High school graduation marked a major turning point. While my friends' parents threw elaborate parties and gifted them cars or vacation trips, my parents gave me a card with $20 inside. Meanwhile, they had already started a college fund for her, while informing me that I would need to figure out my own path since I was so independent. I attended a state university, not my dream school, but the one offering the best financial aid package. Even then, I worked 3 jobs. Some nights, I got only 4 hours of sleep before starting the cycle all over again. My roommate Jessica often found me asleep on my textbooks. "Your parents don't help you at all?" she asked incredulously one day. During holiday breaks, she would regale the family with stories of sorority parties and spring break trips. I sat quietly, too exhausted to contribute much to the conversation. My coworkers thought I was antisocial when I declined happy hours and team dinners. But I had a goal: homeownership. No vacations, no new clothes unless absolutely necessary, and no frivolous spending of any kind. At 28, I finally had enough for a down payment on a 1-bedroom apartment in a decent Chicago neighborhood. No one had helped me. This achievement was mine and mine alone. The apartment needed work when I bought it: an outdated kitchen, worn carpet, and a bathroom straight out of the 1980s. But over the next 2 years, I slowly transformed it. It was physical proof of my determination. Throughout these years, Brittany's life followed a very different trajectory. After college, she drifted between jobs, never staying anywhere longer than 6 months. My parents always nodded sympathetically, opening their wallets and their spare bedroom whenever necessary. Their whirlwind romance led to an engagement after just 4 months. They had a lavish wedding that my parents drained their retirement accounts to provide. I contributed what I could and served as the maid of honor, genuinely hoping this would be Brittany's turning point. "I'm set for life." Something about her tone made me uncomfortable, but I pushed the feeling aside. With her seemingly settled, my parents occasionally showed interest in my life and career progress. "Valerie, it's Mom. Brittany is having some marital difficulties. We're having a family dinner on Saturday to discuss it. You need to be there." Little did I know, this dinner would be the first domino in a series of events that would force me to redefine my relationship with my entire family. Family dinners were rarely pleasant affairs, but something about this one felt particularly ominous. I brought a bottle of wine as a peace offering, though I suspected we'd need something stronger by the end of the night. My father, Robert, sat stoically at the head of the table, while my mother, Martha, bustled around the kitchen with nervous energy. "Where's the woman of the hour?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "She's in the guest room having a difficult time," my mother replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Don't bring up Kevin unless she does." Dinner was a silent affair until the main course arrived. I nearly dropped my fork. My normally immaculately groomed sister looked completely disheveled. "Nice of you to finally join us, Val," she said with unexpected bitterness. Before I could respond, my father cleared his throat. The question triggered an immediate, negative reaction. "Kevin is being completely unreasonable," my mother said, rushing to console Brittany. "He's trying to leave her with nothing." Brittany had been having an affair with Kevin's friend. "Surely you'll get something," I said. "The law usually provides for some division of assets acquired during the marriage. Kevin's lawyers are good. The prenup is ironclad." My parents exchanged a look I recognized from childhood. The conversation paused as my mother served dessert. "My apartment?" I repeated, genuinely confused. It's appreciated quite a bit since you bought it, hasn't it? My father asked. With all those renovations and the neighborhood improving. We thought, my mother said, leaning forward, that you could sell it. Use the equity to help Brittany with her legal fees. You can always move back into a rental for a while. The silence that followed was deafening. They expected me to sell my home, the result of nearly a decade of sacrifice and hard work to fund Brittany's divorce after she cheated on her husband. That is not going to happen, I said finally, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. When have any of you ever pitched in for me? The question escaped before I could stop it. My mother looked wounded. We raised you, put a roof over your head, food on the table. I worked my way through college while you paid for Brittany's full ride. You can get another one later. This is my life we're talking about. And that apartment is my life, I responded. It represents everything I've worked for. I am not selling it. My father's face reddened. We're not asking for charity. You could consider it a loan. I nearly laughed. Remember when she borrowed $4,000 for that rental deposit after college? Or the car you co-signed for that got repossessed? That's unfair, my mother protested. No, what's unfair is expecting me to dismantle my life because Brittany cheated on her husband and is now facing the consequences. I suggested alternatives. My parents could take out a home equity loan. Brittany could get a job and pay her lawyer in installments. We're already mortgaged to the hilt after paying for the wedding, my father admitted. I deserve half of everything Kevin has, Brittany declared, as though stating an obvious fact. The conversation circled for another hour, becoming increasingly heated. My parents cycled through guilt trips, appeals to family loyalty, and finally outright emotional manipulation. After everything we've done for you, my mother said tearfully. I always knew you were jealous of me, Brittany spat. I'm leaving. My answer is no. I will not sell my apartment. As I reached the door, my father called after me. The next few weeks brought an onslaught I was utterly unprepared for. The messages ranged from guilt-inducing, "How can you sleep at night knowing your sister is suffering?" to threatening, "You will regret turning your back on this family." I blocked their numbers, hoping for peace. It became clear my parents were spreading their version of events throughout the extended family. Your mother is beside herself, said my Aunt Patricia, who hadn't contacted me in 3 years. How can you be so selfish? Because I won't sell my home to fund Brittany's divorce after she cheated on her husband? I asked. The situation escalated when I received a notification from my bank about an attempted access to my accounts. Someone had tried to log in using my old password, triggering the security system. When I called the bank to investigate, they confirmed the attempt came from an IP address matching my parents' home. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They had tried to access my financial information without my permission. Before I could fully process this betrayal, Brittany took things to a whole new level. "There's a woman in reception causing a scene," she whispered. I excused myself and rushed to the lobby to find Brittany yelling at the receptionist. Clients and colleagues stared openly. "Since you're ignoring everyone, I thought I'd come see for myself how your precious career is going while my life falls apart," she snapped. "You need to leave now. Not until you agree to help me. Kevin's lawyers are pushing for a quick settlement. I have nothing, Valerie. Nothing. You have an entire apartment you could sell. Lower your voice," I pleaded, acutely aware of the audience we had attracted. "This is my workplace. I don't care. You clearly don't care about me, so why should I care about your job?" As they escorted Brittany out, she shouted accusations and insults loud enough for everyone to hear. I returned to my meeting, hands shaking. I found myself unexpectedly confessing the whole situation. Gregory listened attentively, his expression growing increasingly concerned. "This is harassment," he said finally. "Have you considered speaking to a lawyer?" The suggestion surprised me. But Gregory's perspective forced me to acknowledge how far things had gone. "You look terrible," Zoe said bluntly as I slid into the booth. "This isn't normal family pressure," she said when I finished. "They are terrorizing you. The bank account thing crosses a major line. And showing up at your workplace? That's deliberate sabotage. I think you need to consider legal options," Zoe suggested, echoing Gregory's advice. I needed protection professionally and legally. The following week, I attempted one last mediation effort. I invited my parents to meet at a neutral coffee shop downtown. "We wouldn't need to pressure you if you would simply do the right thing," my father replied. "Selling my home is not the right thing. Not for me. Yes, when it comes to my property and my financial security, it is about me," I insisted. "What does that mean?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. My parents were suing me. The violation was complete. They had invaded my financial privacy, threatened my career, and now weaponized my most private thoughts. The daughter who had always sought approval, who had hoped for a healthy relationship, ceased to exist. In her place stood someone who was finally ready to fight back. The lawsuit was the final straw. I collapsed onto my kitchen floor and allowed myself to truly cry. The pain of a lifetime of being secondary finally broke through the walls I had built. Eventually, the tears subsided, leaving me hollow but somehow clearer. My phone had been buzzing incessantly with texts from family members. I ignored them all except for one from Gregory, my boss. "Heard what happened? Take tomorrow off. I have someone you should talk to." The next morning, Gregory slid a business card across the table. "I can't afford a top attorney," I said. Gregory shook his head. "She owes me a favor. Initial consultation is on me, and she'll work with you on the rest. Because what is happening to you is wrong," he said simply. "And because you're one of my best analysts, and I don't want to lose you to this mess." Elena's office was intimidating. The woman herself even more so. "Yes." She let out a short, incredulous laugh. "That is about as legally sound as a sandcastle at high tide. They have less than no case." "Have you checked your credit report recently?" she asked suddenly. "Just a precaution." Further investigation revealed my parents had taken out these loans in my name without my knowledge, using my social security number and forged signatures. That is criminal fraud. We need to document everything. The hits kept coming. I found old emails where my parents systematically turned our extended family against me. That night, my apartment security called. My parents had attempted to enter my building, claiming I was having a mental health crisis. Reluctantly, I agreed to call my parents one last time, with Zoe present and the call recorded. "That's fine," my father's voice replied, surprisingly calm. "We have nothing to hide." "Explain what situation?" "That Brittany cheated on her husband and you want me to bail her out again. So because I've been responsible, I deserve to lose my home, while Brittany faces no consequences?" "I wasn't built for struggle," I corrected, my voice shaking with anger. "I was forced into it by you." "I will not accept that role," I said finally. "Not anymore." "You heard that, right?" I asked Zoe. "They literally see me as nothing more than Brittany's backup plan." That night, I sat on my balcony, and the realization was devastating, but also strangely liberating. We gathered property records, bank statements, and credit reports. Zoe helped me document the harassment with a detailed timeline. He then slid a folder across the table. "I thought you should have this." Inside were text messages between Brittany and my parents, discussing how to pressure me into selling my apartment. "Why are you giving me this?" I asked. This revelation stunned me. My parents know. They helped cover some of her losses. That's part of why they're so desperate for money. Armed with this new knowledge, Elena filed our countersuit. My parents' lawyer responded by withdrawing their lawsuit, but they contested ours. They offered an insulting settlement, a fake apology and a tiny payment. We countered with a demand for full repayment, therapy costs, and a legally binding no-contact order. They rejected it, misunderstanding how completely they had severed our ties. The morning of the court hearing, I dressed in a navy suit, projecting the stability I felt. Elena met me on the courthouse steps. "Remember," she said, "you have truth and evidence on your side. They have neither." Inside, my parents and Brittany refused to meet my eyes. Their lawyer's defense was weak, claiming their actions were out of parental concern. Judge Wilson was not impressed. "Are you suggesting," she asked him, "that taking out loans in someone else's name without their knowledge is an expression of parental love? Gambling away $100,000 and having an affair are not little mistakes. I said quietly, speaking for the first time. When court resumed, Judge Wilson ruled in my favor on all counts. My parents were ordered to repay the loans plus interest, cover my legal fees, and pay damages. 6 months later, my life had transformed. I began building what my therapist called a chosen family. My friend Zoe, my boss Gregory and his wife, and new friends I made became my true support system. These relationships were built on mutual respect and genuine affection, not obligation or manipulation. One day, I received an email from Brittany. After careful consideration, I agreed to a limited email exchange. A year after the court case, I hosted a small gathering in my apartment. I regret that it was necessary, I said. But I don't regret protecting myself. For too long, I set myself on fire to keep them warm. Learning to prioritize my own well-being wasn't selfish. It was survival. In defending my home, I ultimately found my way home to myself. What about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members? Share your experiences in the comments below.